Alright, so we got Josh's boost leaks fixed. So I'm going to make that part short, simple, to the point. I'm going to play the first part of the video of this. You guys can see we got an exhaust on it. You know, I've actually had the exhaust on it for quite a while now. Unfortunately, we're waiting on a time schedule to get everything welded up. So I haven't actually gone and like got the exhaust welded, because I want this to be a permanent piece and make like a nice hanger and whatnot. I've just been super busy with other things. So today I'm gonna set time aside. I gotta work on some things at the house, and I'd like to get some of the maintenance done on this. So we gotta do the chain adjustment. I gotta let this thing cool down so I can put air pressure in it. I wanna make sure I'm putting it in cold. And we also need to adjust the throttle linkage, because when I did the throttle valve delete, you can see there's a pretty good amount of slop. You can see all that. So I'd like to get that taken care of today, as well as possibly, I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, I'm thinking about getting the wheels painted the teal. We will see though. I have the paint and I got to pull off each individual wheel. So I'm going to start sanding those down and trying to see how they look, and if I have the right stuff, I'm going to go ahead and try it. All right, so I just filled up, and you guys can see my tank is not pressurizing anymore, which is great. Told you guys I did the, what do you call that? That charcoal canister delete, and then I ran the hose open to one of the three, so now there's 3 vents for the tank. And fuel, as long as I don't lift the tank up when it's super full, doesn't matter. So I just got the tires up to 36 hot. Back one was at 40, front was like 38, so I dropped them down to 36. We're gonna run 32 cold, so that way it'll put it up to about 36 when they're hot. So bike is running absolutely awesome. It's hot tonight, so I'm kind of squidding. I don't ever do that, but yeah, she's running good. So I'm gonna keep riding it. I just put another tank of fuel in it, 93. All right, so for all the guys wondering, when I put the front wheel on the other day, appreciate you for the comment. I went and watched Dave Moss videos, so we got everything, forks all aligned, all that bullshit. So you gotta like compress it and loosen up the caliper bolts and do all that, spin it back and forth, tighten everything down, 12-16 foot-pounds-ish, somewhere around there. So that's all done now, and I also got rid of the mirrors. So I have new end caps coming. Those are going to be great. The exhaust is coming too. I got a mid pipe for a GSXR600. So I have to smack that in a little bit more, but like I said, we'll fix this all once it's ready. So the mid pipe will come up to right about here, and then I got a canister just to make sure, like a cheap canister just to make sure it works. And then if it does, I'm gonna go ahead and order a better one. I just want to make sure it works. As long as we have the mid pipe and somewhat of a decent muffler, we should be all right. I shouldn't have to worry about like any low end loss, because this right here is definitely robbing some low end torque, having it open like just right here. Some of the other mufflers I was looking at Austin Racing, and can't remember one of the other big ones, but the canisters are too short and they're super loud, and I want to quiet this thing down a pretty good bit without going Voodoo. I don't like them, and Yoshi. Those are your really only 2 options, and one's ugly and one's too loud. So that's why we're going with this. We're gonna have a nice little canister right here. Hopefully it reaches. That was my only concern. I want to be able to tie into this. So I will get back to you guys in a couple of weeks when Alright, so I told you guys I was gonna do it. I've been waiting weeks for this. So we have the nice titanium header. It has kind of ruined a little bit of this. I'm gonna have to go through, do a little bit of repairs and whatnot. But you can see titanium header definitely loses power at the bottom end, great up top. So got this guy here. Finally, this is what took forever to come in, and then we're just going to throw a cheap little muffler on it. I like these. They seem to work well. Get some of the back pressure back, and then we're going to get this all welded up as well. I have someone this or next week. We're going to get this TIG welded, everything as one solid piece, and then we're just going to have one clamp, a bracket to go to here, and then one to go right in there as well. So we're going to use both of those factory holes. All right, so we got everything kind of mocked up. Now I could sit it all the way in. I'm trying to use as little bit as possible, since this is going to be welded. It doesn't exactly reach, so what we're going to do is eventually I'm going to weld the bracket. These are going to get cut off, this is going to get welded probably just like that, and then weld a bracket and whatnot. I'm going to clean this up before we start it. In the meantime, we're going to use the springs, but I need to get this mounted first, and then we're working on building a bracket to go from here to about here. That's what this is. This was the top of an old radiator, so that's what we're gonna use. Hopefully in this video you guys will see the welding of it, because I'd like to see it done. So I'm gonna push that probably about right there, and we'll see how long we need to make it. All right, here is the temporarily finished product. Like I said, weld a little tab in there for that, weld a little tab up here that goes from here to here, and then we'll call it good. But I think she looks pretty good. We're gonna try to pull it this way a little bit, just kind of avoid the swing arm, which we're gonna get a DME swing arm at some point. I was looking into Evil Fab, but unfortunately they don't make one for this bike, so we're gonna get one of those, get a little longer, a little bit more clearance, get rid of this upper bracket here. All right, so even though it's not done, this thing sounds phenomenal. Really like the sound. It's got a nice deep throaty tone to it. I said about changing it up to something else, but I mean, this is, I really do like it. And the reason I went with that too, because like I really like SC Project, but like the mufflers are so short and there's so little baffling that it's just, it isn't worth it to me. Like this actually has decent baffling and whatnot, and it's not quiet, but it's not loud. Like SC is loud. So same with Race Fit and all them. I like this toned down. All right, so now that you've seen all that, you guys know that I spent a very pretty penny on, you know, this stuff. It was like $550 some for the whole fairings. And unfortunately, due to the Carlisle roads and all that, you know, we've already kind of, you know, messed up the bottom half. Now, keep in mind, the bike is lowered. All the drag guys do that, and pretty much all of us that are running these things in a straight line, you know, we have our certain mods. I still got to get the Brock's strap that brings the front end down even more, so when we do rag racing, all of that stuff plays into it. So unfortunately, with this bike being super low and we have a lower profile front tire, we do have some incidences down below. So today I'm gonna start modifying this. So we're gonna put a nice little line down here, and I'd like to make it, you know, give us a little bit more clearance, make it easier to hit the jack point. Like this is shot, so we're gonna cut, like I said, right down along there. Eventually, we still have the cage. I gotta get a hold of the guy, because like I need to get that thing ordered. We're gonna have the cage that goes on the side, so it'll stick out a little bit more, but you know, I know it's a little bit more weight, but it'll help keep the fairings from ever blowing off again, because that is a common issue on these. I've actually seen bikes going down the drag strip that do that. Usually around 150, these things like to go phoom. So we're gonna get that modified eventually. Once we get the cage on, I'd like to take and drill a hole through the side and like put a beam through that holds these together instead of this little plastic thing down here, because I think that plastic piece is literally just held on by one more. So, and you can see it do hit a wee bit. So I'm gonna let you guys judge me on this. So I got these Dunlop Q5s, which I was supposed to get the Q5Ss. I didn't know there was a difference. But you guys can see this is a stretched bike, you know, longer wheelbase. It's made to go fast in a straight line. That's why I bought it. Now, you guys can see right about here is where my cornering ends. Mind you, this bike is not made to corner. It's just not. So if you look right about there, I'd say, what's that, about 45 degrees? Right about there is where the tread stops. So like, I'm not going super crazy on corners, but I mean, I'm going enough to where the tire can sit like all but like that. You can see this clean spot right here. So it goes all the way down just above where it says Dunlop. So I think for a stretched bike, mind you, I think I think I'm doing pretty all right with that. I don't like to corner with this thing. I try not to generally. Let's check the fronts. It's kind of hard to tell on the front because it's so dirty, but yeah, like right about there. So, I mean, for what it is, I know there's a lot of guys out here who, you guys get really freaking low, but this is like, I bought it for straight line stuff. I don't really want to wreck it, but you can see like all that's clean right there. And then all of this has been used. All right, so occasionally I mess up and, you know, I regret my life decisions. So I started stripping it and I started doing some research and they're like this and that. And I'm like, okay, you know, these wheels aren't perfect, whatever. So I tried a bunch of different things. I didn't like any one of them. They're going to take forever. So I just ordered aircraft stripper. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to throw that on. It says 45 minutes. And we're going to throw that on here and get these wheels. I'm going to at least do the back one, get that down to bare metal. And then we're going to try to paint them because I'm already at the point of no return. I have to paint them now. So we're going to strip them. Like I said, we're going to do the first one. If it comes out good, then we'll do the second one, but I'm not doing the second one until the first one I know comes out good. Also, this stand thing, like I said, not having one. I don't mind doing this. This is like, this is second nature now. I don't care about tilting the bike over and this and that. I have never dropped this one. All right, so you guys see the tank cover there. I never liked the tank cover. I told you guys I want to do away with it eventually. So I am going to take the tank off today as well because I have to get under here to do the throttle adjustment. So I might as well take this off. If that aircraft stripper stuff works, might try to get this tank cleaned up and, you know, gone over. Looks like it was yellow at one point. Looks like somebody dented it in here, which nothing a, you know, good sticker or something can't support. Maybe we do try to fix it, whatever. Point being, I would like to eventually make this tank the same color as the bike because I really do not like the tank cover. I don't like it at all. You guys can see here that if you try to put these down, see how they're already cracking? You have to put a spacer between these to get that to work. So I'm gonna have to pull the tank anyway to get into here. So I gotta pull the seat and yeah, all that. All right, so while it's out, I was finally able to get this thing too. Throw that away. That was riveted to the battery tray. A lot of this stuff is going to be gone, especially when we do the tuning and whatnot. I'm probably going to end up getting rid of a lot of the stuff in here, the power commander. I will sell that. But unfortunately, in the meantime, I need it because, well, I do. I also noticed the thing runs a lot different with the new exhaust as opposed to the old one because the old one was a shorty. And this one's like a longer exhaust with an actual muffler on it. But the exhaust diameter is a lot bigger. So something to keep in mind. Got all the gas lines right here. I have all three of these routed to the bottom. No more crankcase ventilator, whatever no more of any of the emissions bullshit. Rear brake lever, that's gone. So pretty much just need to adjust that right there. You can see it's pretty freaking sloppy. All right, a lot more. I don't think there's any slop anymore. You can see just a little bit. Cool, so that's all good. Just waiting for the stripper to show up, and then we're gonna start getting some stuff stripped. All right, so we're playing around with some of these cuts. I did have to take right here. I do want to take that out because I've noticed a lot of air gets stuck up in here, and that's what causes these things to blow out. We have a nice clean cut here. Same thing with the other side. This one a little bit further to kind of match this. So also took this bracket off, these two screws out, and this guy here for the shut off for this. I don't like that. Seems sketchy to me to have it. And then took up, here's the connector. You can see right there, if I ever need to unplug it and put it back to factory, I can. Obviously you need a new bracket, but it's not what I'm building this bike for. There is that. So we're gonna try to get the relief cut on here. So I actually made a few different ones. Like I got my line, I gotta clean this up a little bit right there, but everything else looks super clean. I'm debating on if I should cut this off and just put like a support in here or just cut it off in general and leave it. I don't want it to be able to do that. I also need to get rid of this sticker here. I know over the winter we have a lot of plans for this. Like we have the motor swap, hopefully over the winter. We're gonna get the forks done over the winter and get these powder coated black. So that'll be nice. And a couple other little odds and ends. I'd like to get the gas tank painted over winter as well. Like when I'm not riding this, I'd like to get a lot of stuff done and get this caliper redone and coated, because I went to paint it and I did a terrible job on it, and then ended up seizing the caliper, so then I had to rebuild the caliper, and it's just, I'd like to do this when I'm not hard pressed on it. I'm gonna start cutting this side and I'll show you guys the final product. Also little things like this, we're gonna get this stuff, you know, painted, like I said, all that over the winter. I need to ride the bike now, but over the winter time. We're also going to be going a little bit longer. I want to get a DME swing arm, bring the tire to sit like right about at the half point, so longer chain. Here's all these sprockets. I've put quite a few thousand miles on these aluminum sprockets. You can see that's how it kind of looks like, crackhead teeth. I put a lot of miles on it though. So 65 bucks every, I'd like to say every 3,000 or 4,000 miles. It's not really that bad, those aluminum sprockets. So I'm gonna keep running them. I wanted to try them at first. All right, so I'm gonna chill out on the cutting for now. I did make a line on the bottom, but I realized, I don't know, I feel like I should just leave it as is on the bottom. So the nice cuts on the side, we have our relief cuts here so that air can come out through here. Yes, that does make a difference. I'm still deciding on whether I'm gonna cut these off and put a support through, which I think I am, but just not today. I'm gonna leave that how it is. There's supposed to be a rubber grommet in there. Unfortunately, they both got pushed in. Not today, that was another day. That was a different day. But other than that, I think it definitely looks a lot better, especially right in there. Eventually, I'd like to do like an angle cut on that because that's like the biggest piece on these lower bikes, and we're going even lower. So for like when we're on race days, we'll bring this front end down a lot more. So I'm still waiting on the paint stripper and whatnot, but I think we're gonna start tackling the gas tank. I'm gonna get this pulled apart a while and start do a little bit of sanding on it, get the cap off of it. So I didn't know what to expect. I called him, I said, do you have aircraft stripper, right? They said, yeah, 28 bucks. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So ordered it, had them send it. So you can see, it seems to be doing its magic on the fuel tank. I sprayed it on there. This is all it is. So, and this strip to bare metal, I'm avoiding the bearings. I have a rag in the other side. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it strips it like it says it's gonna. And I'm gonna give it that 45 minutes. Alright, so this one's still soaking. You can see, you know, it's coming along. And this one, there's a sticker here, here, and both sides. So that's a sticker there. So I'm gonna get all this black off. I'm using the hose, some degreaser, and a little Scotch-Brite pad, a little bit of elbow grease, and it's coming. I gotta use more than that, but I need 2 hands. I like the look of this, like how that is. I know some guys do wraps like that, but not a fan of the yellow. So I'm gonna do what I can, try to get this dent, figure something out with that. We're getting there. We're slow and steady. I'm gonna let that wheel soak for a little bit longer and maybe add some more to it, but I'm gonna... A few hours later, it is about 4 o'clock. This is where we got with the stripper. Not as great as I wish that it would have. Looks like the whole middle, any of the black on the middle is going to stay, and then we got the tank all down to bare yellow, so I'm going to go tomorrow and grab some Nardo Gray paint. Paint that tomorrow. These, I guess I'm just going to have to throw them on like this. So I'm going to give them a good bath real quick and throw everything back together. But definitely regret today's decision-making skills. Everything else turned out great, but... like I said, definitely, this is also why I didn't take the front wheel off yet, because like that would suck. So I'm going to go and try and get some paint that matches that. Probably not going to do the chain adjustment. I was going to do it today. It's looser, but not, you know, out of spec. I just was going to tighten it up probably a notch or two, but whatever. The cuts definitely look great. You can tell no more burn, and I think it matches up a lot better. I'll text him about the cage and see if I can't get that thing on order, because I really want to get that on. And then, like I said, let me know what you guys think. Should I just put the grommet in there, or should I actually make something that screws this into this? That way this thing doesn't ever go flying off. I'm hoping never to lose these fairings because they were pretty expensive. Might have to do a little bit more modifying down the road, but you can see that's basically what we cut off. So you'd really never be able to tell unless you were looking for it. A little bit of weight reduction. I'm gonna throw these in the bin because those... nice to have those around. The rest of the stuff can go in the trash. Took me all but 5 seconds to throw it together. You guys get the point on the, well, I guess. So I can take seat off, which I'm going to get eventually. I want someone to make me a flat carbon fiber thing that I can sit on. And then this literally just pops right off. So there's the ugly tank that's underneath. That is an eyesore. We're not going to leave that. Going to slam that. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. Tomorrow, hopefully the tank is that color and we can finally do away with this. That's been my number one goal when I got this bike, was literally to get rid of that tank cover. And then I ended up getting another one. So rather than wasting any more time on this here, you can see all the chunks and everything that came out of it. I had sand in it and whatnot. I'm going to leave some of it on there, and I'm just going to take this thing to the pressure washer and see if I can't blow a lot more of it off. Hopefully it works out. I'm just going to get it installed like that, and we will be back tomorrow to continue the saga. Obviously this video is already way too long. If you guys are interested in it, let me know. I'll do a part 2 of like all of the stuff that is going on. I also want to adjust that exhaust a little bit since we're not going to be getting it welded for a little while. So I even thought about painting the tank black. But then I realized, you know, the whole point in me doing this whole strip everything thing was to kind of like avoid the mistakes that the previous guy did. Or I should say the guy before him, because the guy who sold this to me, he literally owned it for like 3 days. So it wasn't his fault, but I was going to just paint the tank black and just be like, oh yeah, it'll look cool. And then I'm like, I start looking at other bikes and I'm like, every single one of them have a matching tank. So what I'm going to do, hopefully tomorrow will be the last day I get to see this thing sitting on top of that. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know if there's any other things that I've missed, any go fast stuff that I could be doing, or if there's anything you want to see like cleaned up. I do have rear pegs in the process. I want to get some new pegs. I'd love to get rid of the rear pegs. I used to not run them at all, but unfortunately I do ride 2 up a lot. Definitely have to keep the rear pegs, and also it looks cool with the exhaust, but like I don't like the factory ones. So you guys can see the new rear sets. I got those installed. Let me know what you think. I will see you guys in the next video. If you guys need anything, cpstevemiller.com. Send me a message. I will see you in the next video. Later.